Have you seen anything more from the Israelis about their claims of a major command and control center under Shifa hospital? It was one of the things that they were putting forward in terms of explaining why, so many civilians were being killed and why the hospitals were being targeted or being caught in the line of crossfire. They did end up coming out with, I think, a bunker and a tunnel and a couple of guns, but it didn't really add up to what they had been advertising in terms of Hamas directing its operations from underneath hospitals. Obviously, they have a huge, sophisticated tunnel system. We saw some of that at Erez at the weekend, but the fact that Hamas is directing its operations from under hospitals and therefore they become part of the war. So have you seen anything more convincing from the Israelis than what they put out?
Let me say a few things about that. Number one, we had evidence that Hamas was operating underneath Al-Shifa hospital before Israel attacked, and made that clear before Israel launched its operation in the vicinity of the hospital, that we had seen evidence and believed it to be true, and we stand by that evidence. Number two, we've seen things that the Israeli government has shown to us. We've seen the information that they've made public that do show bunkers underneath the hospital, that show tunnels underneath the hospital, and show recovered weapons from the hospital. The third thing I'll say is one of the reasons Hamas has an extensive tunnel network in the first place is so when Israel is targeting any one site, that they can move underground to extricate themselves from that site and make it to safety. That is the entire reason that they built this tunnel network. The fourth thing I will say is I don't think anyone should expect that a Hamas command and control center is going to look like the White House Situation Room. It's a terrorist organization who is hiding itself underground, behind civilians, and I think to expect that it was going to look like what you see from a modern government, it's just not. I don't think that's.
Well, but the Israelis released that video.
Let me finish. I don't think is a realistic expectation. But that said, we are confident and remain confident, both based on what we knew before the operation and what we've seen since the operation, that Hamas was using Al-Shifa as a command and control post, as it uses other civilian sites to hide terrorist infrastructure, to hide weapons, to hide fighters, and ultimately to use civilians as human shields.
Right. I would just add that, as you know, the Israelis did release these videos beforehand showing how sophisticated it all was, and it wasn't quite what they came up with.
You can judge for yourself what what we saw versus that. I think it wasn't really a video, it was an animation, I think, beforehand. But what we saw and what we knew to be the case before the operation at Al-Shifa confirmed to us that yes, Hamas was using it as a commanding.